Across the valley, you can see the red sandstone bulk of Powys Castle, which has dominated the Welshpool area for nearly 8 centuries. Staring it in the eye from this side of the river is another great estate, much less known than Powys, but one with some astonishing relics. And yes, it's back to the Victorians, but this time to celebrate their amazing ingenuity. So John, I mean, the Leighton estate, the scale of it is just enormous, but even here in the farm of the estate, the scale of this is enormous too.
Yes, it's probably one of the largest range of farm buildings in Wales, most certainly. There's very little compare in England as well.
So I mean, this all happened, this amazing explosion of activity all happened within a really short space of time. I mean, Naylor just threw resources at the place, didn't he?
Yes, he'd inherited the estate when he got married in 1846. And in a period of about 10, 15 years, he lashed out money on it. He had £100,000 as a gift. That's in Victorian times, worth a few million now. And he spent £200,000, much to the consternation of his wife. And that's producing the farm buildings, the hall, the stables, the water system, and many, many cottages on the estate. There's about 8 or 9 lodges on the estate. I live in one of them.
So one of the big features here, of course, was the collecting all the manure and zapping it up the hill, wasn't it?
Yes, they split the stormwater from the foul water and fed the sewage by gravity to a pumping station, and that worked apparently until a very bad winter when they froze up.
Right.
And then it is said that an Irishman took the scrap and made so much money he called his home Leighton, but whether that's true or not, I don't know.
Well, there's brass. Leaving the farm buildings behind, John took me round some of the estate's celebrated forests. This was, after all, the birthplace of the dreaded Leylandii. If you go down to the woods today, you're sure of a big surprise. So if we were standing here kind of 150 years ago, I guess, we'd have been being run over by funicular railway trains.
Yes, there'd be a bridge over here at the time, a
Right.
small bridge, and there'd be a particular railway with a railway line or 2 sets of tracks running from the building at the top down to the building at the bottom, which was the main station and where the main winding gear was.
They would have been just so kind of jaw-slackingly,
Yeah.
impressed by the
Wow.
whole thing, and that was the impression, wasn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Leighton's impressionable visitors were escorted around the estate by funicular railway, horse and carriage, boats and punts. And while my transport may be rather more modest, the sheer scale of the estate demands it. Well, I guess of all the nouveau riche touches on the estate, this has got to be the most startling.
It's a Victorian poultry house in the Victorian era. Apparently in the 1840s, Victoria had a very fancy poultry house in Windsor Great Park. Obviously, if you want to be up with the rich, you do the same thing. I think John Naylor must have decided to do this.
Well, we've got the key today. I've seen this place before, but I've never seen inside, so can we go and have
Yes, we're gonna have
a
a
little
look,
nose inside?
Yep.
Parker by name and all that. Well, it's everything I hoped it would be. It really is. It's fantastic.
Well, I think what he achieved in 1860, he produced something which is admired by everyone 140 years later.
Yeah. Still making jaws drop.
Yeah.
A century and a half on.
Yeah.
Another